This podcast is a member of WildGamesProductions.com and D20Radio.com.
You remember.
Roll your stealth roll?
Game books, pencils, pizza, cheese puffs, and a hell of a lot of dice.
And the Dragon Ball Cup.
Roll for Initiative. This is the Roll for Initiative podcast, where 1E is the place to be.
Welcome back to Roll for Initiative. We're doing Volume 5, 169 for those who are keeping track for their record purposes. Vince sitting here with Nick.
Hello, everybody.
And Matt.
Hello, everyone.
We are back with a brand new show. Finally, I know it took a little while to get some shows out. We had some scheduling difficulties, people being sick. Nick. Hey,
had a cold. Failed my save.
Yeah, he failed his constitution check also. So
yeah, failed my con check. What can I say?
Yeah, so things happen, life happens, but we're still here.
Yeah.
6 years of doing shows. Sometimes things happen.
We're knocking on the door of 6 years, aren't we?
Probably a little over that at this point, but
I think so.
We're growing fine here. So we're going to jump right into things because people don't like us to deter or anything. One quick announcement. I am going to be running an online game again for an actual play podcast. Possibly in the next couple of weeks. I've already posted something up in the forums. Speaking of forums, yes, OSR Gaming is not owned by me anymore. It's owned by one of our forum elite, Andrew, taking the reins over on those forums. The podcast will still remain on those forums per my request and his insistence, so they're not going anywhere. You can still go to OSR Gaming for your podcast news for anything Wild Games Productions. But anyway, that's enough about me because no one cares. Let's jump right into Table Matters this week.
Typical. Of all the evil creatures in the world, I'd like to find one with table manners.
What, are you kidding me? I spent years cultivating the worst table manners on the planet.
Table manners.
All right, so Table Manners this week, we're going to talk a little bit about, we're going to focus a little bit on a classic creature, because I know people like the classic creatures in D&D, especially the staple of D&D called the Kobold. I know we've talked about it extensively a couple times here and there, touched about little things, but this week we're really going to sit down and just dive into the Kobold and talk about some different ways to making him a little more dangerous, because, he's really kind of a dull creature if you just look at him in the book, and they're kind of dumb, and I know we always say, just make him more powerful, but we never really say how, or different ways you can make him different. I mean, we've given our examples what we do, but let's actually sit down and talk about how we can take a smaller creature like a kobold and make him into a big foe. Now, I'm going to just jump to Nick real quick, because this is his idea here, but Nick had a great example from the Dungeon Alphabet, which he has right in front of him, his big tome.
Yes.
I'm going to refer to you, Nick, to continue. Go ahead.
Yeah, sure. Talking about kobolds, and you can apply a lot of these ideas even to other low-level creatures, but let's see the quote-unquote lowly kobold and how we can make him even really an intelligent and crafty creature to even a high-level adventuring party. And a lot of the inspiration has to come from Dragon Magazine. Now, if you get in your Wayback Machine, go back to November of '87, there was an editorial that started off that issue of Dragon Magazine, and it was simply titled Tucker's Kobolds. And it was Roger E. Moore. He was talking about how you can make some low-level creatures, not Roger Moore, the actor.
Oh,
but,
okay. Sorry.
Yeah, not Bond, James Bond.
Okay.
But who was, I believe, the editor-in-chief of Dragon Magazine at that time. He was talking about how you can make some of these low-level monsters, such as kobolds or goblins or whatever they may be, a little more daring, a little more intelligent, a little more crafty and conniving, and make them dangerous to a high-level adventuring party. And he drew on an example that he personally experienced was, I guess when he was at Fort Bragg, North Carolina, he was in a campaign with a DM. His name was Tucker, and there was this dungeon where, if I can quote from here.
Sure.
it wasn't the demons and the dragons that were the most feared creatures in it. It was these kobolds, which were nicknamed Tucker's Kobolds.
So
And yeah,
they were pretty much yawning at all these massive creatures like demons, but kobolds make them run for their lives.
The kobolds made them they made them wet their armor and have to change it.
What?
Yes.
Because they were little nasty dudes. I mean, you're just thinking kobolds, 1 to 4 hit points.
Yeah.
Lawful evil. They're horde creatures for the most part, but imagine tweaking that. Not only are they horde creatures, but they're smart. They set traps. They're real tricksy. He said in the games I've seen, the most worst, most horrible, most awful, beyond comparison opponents ever were seen were often weaker than the characters who fought them. They were simply well-armed and intelligent beings who were played by the DM to be utterly ruthless and clever. And Tucker's kobolds were all like that. So he goes over when they were in Fort Bragg, North Carolina, and I'm assuming, I guess, Roger Moore was in the Army at the time, and he got up into this campaign,
Right.
with this guy named Tucker, who was the DM, and he said that these kobolds graduated from the Magna Cum Laude School of Soren Institute for the Criminally Vicious. I mean, these things were bad. So when he joins up with the group, he was talking about how even the rest of the party were not eager to repeat the experience of getting, because they're on level 1. These kobolds are on level 1, and they're like, let's try to get to the elevator to as level 10 as possible, fast as possible. and I could only imagine, you're afraid of kobolds, and we want to get to level 10 where all the real big badness is, and everybody's like, no, you don't understand. So he said it didn't work. They only got 60 feet into the dungeon. The kobolds barred the door behind them. They set the corridor on fire. And the head of the party yells, "No, it's them! Run!" So the party scrambled down a side passage, ambushed by more kobolds firing like crossbows through murder holes in walls and ceilings. They're tossing Molotov cocktails at them, huge piles of flaming debris, and other kobolds ahead pushed in formation using long metal poles like broomsticks. So they're pushing them along into a corridor which has, flaming oil, other flaming debris like maybe wood and pitch and straw, and the group leaders crying out, "Oh my God, we're doomed!" And they were caught by more sniper fire by these guys, and it gets to the point where they said they had a 12th level magic user in with us. We asked him to throw a spell at something, and we all yelled, "Blast him!" And he goes, "Fireball him? Get those little blankers." He's like, "What? In the narrow corridor? What? You want I should burn us all up instead of them?" So apparently they got through. They lost all their hirelings. They lost all their henchmen. And they finally got, they lost all their donkeys. But it just shows you what a creature like a kobold, for example, can be turned into a devious, nasty little monster, because just how the DM can play him smartly. And I love that. I think that's a great way of taking a creature that at higher levels, like a 10th, 11th, 12th level, you're going to take kind of for granted.
Yeah.
And then with an evil DM, because all of us DMs are evil.
True.
That's how you can make it into something really, really fun for you as a DM, and a real, real horror session for your players.
All right, I know before the show, Matt found that entire thing at tuckerskobolds.com, so we're going to add that link into our notes so you folks can just read what Nick was paraphrasing there pretty much and quoting a little bit. So you can see the entire article's there. It's really cool. It's not that long of a read, maybe just a page and a half, but it's cool to read the article, what happened exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's some great inspiration. So, yeah, definitely give that a read if you can.
Okay, so making creatures into something they're not. So obviously the Kobold's a little bit of a weak creature. How would we make it into something more of a badass creature? So we're going to go for our top 3 ideas here because we wrote down our own little ways to do it, and we each have our own individual ways, and you as a listener could just basically take whatever you want, mix and match. So it's basically, how do you take a small creature like that and make them into a little bit more dangerous? Well, kobolds can hide in shadows and attack randomly, make the party kind of suspicious as they're walking down that small dark hallway. They don't have to just run up and attack and be a stupid creature. They can, maybe the kobolds have little holes in the wall, and then characters are walking down the hallway, they'll stick their spear out and stab them in the foot, and then they're like, "What's that?" The spear's gone. Things like that. That's one idea. Another idea is the general approach, just a massive attack, just like as many as they possibly can right at the party. That's going to just make every one of the people in the party crap their pants.
Yeah, because, you're like what we said at the beginning, they're horde creatures.
Yeah.
I mean, even in the Monster Manual, number appearing 40 to 400. I don't care what level you are as far as, player character, either first level fighter or a 10th level fighter. You got like 300 or 400 of these kobolds bearing down on you. Even at 10th level, you might have some good armor and stuff, but you know what? A few of those guys might get a lucky hit.
Right.
You know?
Especially if you're in tight quarters of like a cavern, and then they're coming in 2 different directions, 200 on one side, 200 on the other, and you're in the middle.
Absolutely.
And also, if you play them right, 40 can seem like 400 if they have the right ways of sneaking around. How Vince mentioned about them sticking out their spears and just poking them. What if it seemed like there was always a floor spike trap wherever the PCs were? Because underneath the floor is a tunnel system, and there's actually kobolds up there jamming spears up as they walk by. It just moves wherever they are. Using the terrain and like the environment to their advantage. And that can apply to any.
I was just thinking that. When you said environment, where they live, as a DM, you got to approach it as like creating these sorts of monsters like a kobold or a goblin or whatever, some sort of low-level monster. You have to approach it from their point of view, essentially, how you're going to make these guys really, really nasty.
Yeah, and you have to remember
they're defending their home, essentially.
Depending on where they are, of course. Maybe they're not in their lair. They could be anywhere. But remember, this is first edition D&D. This is deadly D&D. And not making fun of any other edition here or, bashing or anything like that. But this is not 5th edition. This is not 4th edition. This is not 3rd. Nothing is fair. This is not PC fair gaming. It's first edition. I don't care. It's the GM versus the players. I don't care. People can say, no, it's not. Sure, a GM can be, or DM could be your friend in the game and help you out. Sure, but the purpose of the game is to throw reality type situations at them and make them holy crap and run.
Right. And it is a level playing ground. Kind of go on with this, where a level playing ground in the fact that everything can be dangerous. Nothing's a little more dangerous than anything else per se. So every situation could be a dangerous situation.
Gary didn't make this game.
If you tuckerize kobolds.
Yeah, Gary didn't make this game saying, "Oh, well, the creatures are going to be fair. They're going to back off or they're going to run away." No, he made it so that when you turn the corner, you were like, "Crap, I shouldn't have made that turn."
Well, I was like kind of going on what Matt said. It's like you're going into the kobold's environment. Oh, yeah. So like sticking with our premise of the kobolds, whatever part of the dungeon or the whole dungeon entirely, a whole level, that whole dungeon level or section is their home. Why wouldn't the kobolds know every single inch of that place and plan out every single trap, every single trick? Because they want to survive too. They don't want to die.
Go ahead, Matt.
Right, and the traps they set, the trap may not be there to catch you and damage you and kill you. It may be set to lead you in a different direction, to control where you're flowing. Because my 3 were use the terrain to their advantage. They're going to know every nook and cranny and exploit it. They're also going to have tactics and control where you're fighting. If you're trying to get to the elevator, they're going to try to corral you somewhere else and make it seem like a good idea to go there, only to damage you, to bring upon the massive destruction there. And then they would also have thoughts in trap design, because swords and spears, they can do some damage, but what's going to do massive damage that they have easy access to? Like if they were in a cave, large rocks. Imagine like the Indiana Jones running from the boulder. Yeah. That could be your party. But what if all of a sudden they're running and that boulder leads them down a path only to find another boulder running in the same direction that they're heading? And now they have a boulder on each side, ready to smash them in the middle.
Right. Wow.
Or what could be the most lethal thing to a party is a vat of oil above them and a kobold with a torch.
Oh, jeez. Yeah.
And him just grinning down at the party.
Right. Oh, you just see this lone kobold there standing with a torch at the end of the party, and the party just keeps advancing. Then the kobold up above them just tips over the pot of oil. They're drenched.
There you go.
Kobold throws the oil. He doesn't even have to hit. Just got to get close. Horseshoes and hand grenades.
Right.
Boom.
Right.
Instant immolation.
There you go.
Okay.
2 kobolds wiped out, TPK'd an entire party with that.
Yeah.
2.
Little bastards.
And if that, I guess with my 3 would be.
Wait, one more before you go, Nick. I know you want to get them out. Let me get my last one out here.
Oh, sorry.
Give them something different, as in, just because they're kobolds just doesn't mean they can only fight with this. They can bite, right? Obviously, they can scratch. Why can't they have a disease? Why can't they have poison? Why can't they have, special abilities because they're underground or something? Imagine, they did 1 point of damage, but now you have a disease.
Rabid kobolds.
Rabid kobolds, perfect.
There you go.
What's more
And hence
dangerous
why
than
they
that?
attack, they just swarm you with reckless abandon. They're rabid.
They got rabies or leprosy or something like that.
Right.
Nick, right over to you. What's your 3?
Well, I guess kind of building on one of your things. Number 1, play them smart.
Right.
Just because they're monsters doesn't necessarily mean they're dumb. Yes, their intelligence is listed average on the low end, but it's still average. That doesn't mean that they're dumb in that they cannot plan things out. They just because their intelligence is not necessarily a measurement of being conniving or sneaky. Mm-hmm. You could be a low intelligence creature and be sneaky and conniving and witty. You can outwit your opponent even if you're, I don't say outwit, but you could be devious and be a low intelligent creature.
There you go.
We've seen that.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't take a whole lot of smarts to do something mean to somebody else. So play them quote unquote smart. Play to their advantages. They're small. They're horde creatures.
Right.
And for the most part, you're invading their environment. So they're going to know every inch of that place, wherever that may be, either in the whole dungeon complex or part of a dungeon. And I guess the third thing I could think of is beef them up,
right,
in some fashion. Either, like you said, like with giving them, like maybe they're diseased in some fashion, or they're using poisons, or maybe they've mutated in some way. Maybe they're a little bit bigger, or is something else of that nature. I mean, beef them up in a fashion to where they're not just 1 to 4 hit point creatures. Maybe they got a little more hit dice. Yeah. Maybe they got an extra special attack. You never know.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Matt, what are your top biggies to change them around a bit?
Yeah, I mean, mine actually read like something out of like the Art of War. It's like, use the terrain to their advantage. Maybe these kobolds in their cave know this one dead-end corridor, that's where the yellow mold grows.
Uh-huh.
So let's kind of see if we can corral anyone that comes in there near all that mold.
There you go.
And let the environment take care of the dirty work for us, and all we have to do is sweep up the bodies. Also, they would know every nook, cranny where they can hide, where they can ambush, and have an escape route so you wouldn't know where they were or where they went.
That's good. An escape route, too. That is good.
Right.
That is good. Didn't think of that.
Right. And then also, they would be, when someone invades, they know what the plan is. They've drilled this. They know, okay, adventurers coming down here, set this trap. That'll force them down this hallway, where just kind of like Tucker's Kobolds. It was a chain of events, and unless you can break that one of the links of that chain, your doom is coming.
Yeah.
Because a trap, like say they set up a poorly designed pit trap that the party knows, but they're not going to fall in it. And they're not going to get caught by it. But it'll mean it's too much work going this route. Let's take this other route instead. That's the route we want you to go, and that's where you're going to die.
And if you think about it, even with the kobolds, I don't think they necessarily try to kill you right away. They're going to
torturing you.
They're going to torture you. They're going to hurt you. If you look at it in a mechanics sort of way, they're going to do things that are like they're going to chip away at hit points here and there on everybody. And I also get the impression that there's never going to be a break. They're going to be constantly at you. You're never going to get time to stop where that, for the cleric to get cure you light wounds or cure serious wounds, or even giving enough time to quaff a healing potion. They're going to be constantly bombarding you with crap. Either it hurts you, or it distracts you, or it confuses you in some way that you're going to be making mistakes. You're going to be getting hurt, and eventually those hit points are getting 2 here, 4 here, 3 here, however many, and next thing you know, oh my gosh, I'm below half my hit points. Or, I'm below half my hit points, and I failed my save versus poison, and my character fell asleep. Yeah, so I think that's how they would be, almost like they would just chip at you, death by 1,000 cuts sort of thing.
It'll be a battle of attrition, except they're not taking any losses because they're not exposing themselves, because they know if we just go one-on-one, mano-a-mano in a sword fight, we're going to lose. That's not
if they are taking losses, it's so insignificant because, again, they're horde creatures.
It's controlled losses. They send out the Operation Human Shield to distract you long enough to set up the trap behind you that's going to kill you.
And maybe give you a false sense of security and bravado and think you're winning.
Right.
Think of that. You send out the Suicide Kobold Squad. You send out like 20 of these little buggers. They all get decimated. Or a few of them are told, hey, when there's only like 2 of you guys left, run away this direction.
Right.
What do you think about it? What do you think a party would see there? They'd be like, oh yeah, we got him on the run.
or what? Just imagine if, say, there was one kobold, his whole responsibility, if there was a battle, is not to fight, but to sneak around and start trying to steal gear in pouches.
Oh, that's good. Oh, I like that.
As you're distracted by these kobolds shooting arrows or sword fighting with you, another one's just going around picking your pockets. Now, you go to reach for that healing potion. It's not there.
Not there.
You go to reach for that magic item. Scroll. It's gone. You may not feel it. Right. You don't feel it now. You feel it down the road when you really need it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I could also see kobolds, since adventurers are prone to fireballing things, maybe they would just have some barrels of oil lining the hallway. So, you can spark that. You're going to blow up with it, even if it doesn't look like it will.
Or in that Tucker's Kobold example, they got him in a corridor where the guy who's the magic user who knows there's going to be a backblast against us, guys. Not a good idea.
I can also envisioning the kobolds keep part of the corridor flooded just slightly, so they're always walking in water, and then just like a lightning. And say they had like a wand of electricity.
Oh wow! Lightning bolt them.
Yes. Yeah, just the small little. It only has a few charges because that's all it needs. You walk through the puddle of water and he zaps the puddle, not you. And you're wearing that nice metal armor.
Yeah.
And now they have cooked fighter.
Yes.
Just little things like that. That'll really get the player's attention. And the final one that I had was like there'd be a forethought in the traps and designs. And the traps, it doesn't matter what you are, you will take damage.
Yeah.
So that way it can be like, oh, well, if they have really thick armor, this weapon won't work. Or if they have this spell up, it won't work. Dropping a large boulder on someone will pretty much finish off anyone no matter what. Much like lighting them on fire. Various other just kind of overkill.
Yeah.
Because they're going to make sure you're going to die in a very brutal manner and laugh as you're dying.
Oh, yeah. And I think they're going to do traps. They're going to, in a most humiliating way if they can.
Right.
They're going to not only, they're going to add like psychological pain to your physical pain.
Right. Just imagine you fall into a pit trap, but you take no damage from it because you fell into a bunch of spider webs. There's not even a spider there. You just fall into these thick webs. That's meant to hold you as they come and drop something from above you, like Wile E. Coyote.
Or the old tar and feather trick.
Yes.
They hit you with nice, warm or hot tar from some murder holes, then dump a whole bunch of chicken feathers on you. You're like, oh, great, now we're tar and feather. Oh, really? Yeah, then there's like kobolds with flaming arrows, and they shoot them at you.
Right.
What happens then?
Right.
You're tar and feathered, but now you're on fire. Now, the flaming chicken trick. There you go.
Right.
There's one y'all could take home with you.
Or maybe they
flaming chicken trick.
Or what if you notice these kobolds, they have nothing but stone and wood weapons. Then you realize they have a magnetic rock. So all your armor and weapons just goes flying to it.
Oh, or it's like a big old lodestone, and they reveal it. You all get pushed towards it, and you can't move.
Right.
Oh, man. I love my flaming chicken trick. That's great.
Or even better, as your party goes to attack this kobold cave, the guy with the flaming chicken runs out from the previous party.
Yes. There you go.
As a little foreshadow.
He's screaming on fire with flames and burning feathers coming off of him. And everybody's going, what the heck was that?
Yes.
So kind of to go along with this, another inspiration that I found is there's a book that Goodman Games put out a while back, and you can still get it at their website. It's called The Dungeon Alphabet. Oh. It's a great little book. And they basically took the alphabet, went through A through Z, and applied it all their dungeon stuff. And letter K has to do with kobolds. And they have a nice little one page here about kobolds, and there's a table in here. It's just a simple D10 roll on like 10 unique kobold tribes. And basically you roll that up and you see what the tribe's about of your kobolds, and it's up to you as a DM how you can take that idea and mechanically put that into your kobolds, how you would tweak that out. So let's say, Vince, if you don't have a D10 handy, just pick a number 1 through 10.
6.
6, okay. The kobolds survive as service personnel for the dungeon. They relay messages, perform custodial duties, repair and reset traps, and maintain the dungeon for the stronger monsters. They may even be hired by the adventurers as guides, torchbearers, or porters. So maybe you could take that, and there's a whole opposite way you could go with kobolds. You know, they're like the custodians of the dungeon, but doesn't mean they can't be tricksy.
Well, let me pick one more. Number 7.
7.
Yeah.
Through fortifications and superior numbers, the kobolds have established a monopoly on some vital resources. Fungus gardens, fresh water, etc. The kobolds grow rich and well supplied by selling and trading this resource to other intelligent dungeon creatures.
Yeah.
So they got a control on the natural resources. That puts them in a very unique position in the dungeon.
Yeah.
So maybe you could take those kobolds and the actual kind of a role reversal thing. The kobolds are actually in charge of the dungeon, but orcs and other highly intelligent creatures are their minions. And they're the ones who are doing all the dirty work. That would be an interesting twist.
Oh, yeah.
How about you there, Matt? Pick a number, 1 through 10, or roll it.
2.
2. Oh, this is interesting.
Oh, okay.
The kobolds follow a strict warrior code similar to Bushido or chivalry.
Oh, all right.
So maybe you can give them like bonuses to hit. Maybe with certain weapons. Maybe they have like mini katanas.
Oh, jeez.
Or maybe they get special bonuses to hit or damage when they charge on their since they're like Bushido or chivalry. Maybe they're trained almost like little kobold knights.
Aww.
And they ride on like, I don't know, giant rat mounts into battle.
Right.
And they get a bonus to hit.
or perhaps they're more like the kamikaze pilots, in which they know they're going in the battle that's going to bring their death, and they're just trying to take as many with them as possible.
There you go. Maybe they get a bonus to damage or something like that. Or they get multiple attacks.
Yes. Or they have the Movital cocktail strapped to them, and all they have to do is get near you and set it off.
Oh, even better. I love that. That's good.
Kobolds.
Exploding kobolds. That's almost like my exploding hobgoblins back in my Hackmaster game back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my gosh. Yes, exploding kobolds. That's good. Got flaming. I can just picture these little kobolds with huge bottles of oil with the wick coming out of it, and they light them, and they're just running towards the party. And just look on the party's face like, what the heck?
And it's just wave after wave after wave.
And you have a combination of flaming oil. There's guys running in there with flaming pitch, and they're dropping coals maybe and wood from murder holes. Oh, that's just nasty. I love it.
All right.
The first thing that happens is a bale of straw falls from above and hits the party for no damage.
And everybody's like, what's this?
And then you have this kobold with a Movital cocktail strapped to his back running at them.
Yeah. Well, just to kind of get everybody to get this dungeon alphabet book, you get it at Goodman Games. And I think they got a couple of versions of it.
Do we have an Amazon price on that? Because I know a lot of our folks like to jump on Amazon.
Maybe Amazon price, I'm not sure, but on
Matt, you can try Googling that for us, maybe. Or?
Yeah.
But I know on their website it's $19.95.
No, that's not a bad price for
64 pages, and it's not just kobolds. It's like A through Z of great D&D dungeon inspiration. And one of the biggest selling points is the artwork is really good. You got stuff by Errol Otis.
Nick, can you get it for PDF also, drive-through? I would think so, right?
I think you can.
Yeah, there's actually two versions of it.
Oh, okay.
There's the Dungeon Alphabet from 2009. That's on Amazon, like $9.99.
That's the one I got.
And then there's the Dungeon Alphabet Expanded from 2012. That's the hardcover for $20 plus shipping.
Yeah, I got the $9.99 one. That's the smaller one. Yeah, mine's only 40. Oh, this one's 64. I'm gonna have to get the new one.
Uh-oh.
There you go. I'm gonna have to get the newer one.
All right, cool. So we gave you something to chew on, how to make the creatures a little bit, more of a badass creature there for you. Let's just head right into our next segment.
Zach Glazer, head of Lesser Known Games here. In November, we will be running a charity game using our newest box set, Death and Taxes, to support the Extra Life Foundation to benefit Children's Miracle Network hospitals. You can support this effort by going to extralife.org and making a pledge in the name of Robert Glazer, or going to lesserknown.com/children.
Robert Glazer? No wonder you go by Zach. Listen, let me show you how to do this. I cast charitable contribution. You will now go to extralife.org or lesserknown.com and make a generous donation to help Children's Hospital. You can even write it off both your death and taxes. See what I did there?
But
don't interrupt me. And my Saber Die podcast minions will have a nice pledge link right on the webpage of this very episode to make that easy.
That's great, Dopus. Thanks.
Don't mention it, Robert.
Are you saying that I put an abnormal brain into a 7.5-foot long gorilla?
Creature Feature Theater.
And now we're going to take some of the concepts that we had talked about and really apply them to the kobold and the creature feature. Your basic kobold, it's that horde creature. It's like your goblins. I mean, in the monster manual, it says you'll see 40 to 400, and that's what's supposed to make them scary. There's just waves and waves of them. There are only 1 to 4 hit points. So at that point, even a mage, first level magic user with a dagger can one-shot kill them, theoretically. So they're not going to be these massive warriors if you use it. That's going to stand toe-to-toe in honorable battle. No. They are meant to be sneaky. They're meant to be tricky. They have infravision. They also dislike bright light. So that is something to keep in mind because they love hiding in the shadows. That is their home. And as you get more organized kobolds, that's when you'll also have larger leaders and guards that have a little more hit points. And then, according to the book, it's like they use short swords and spears and javelins, axes or a spiked wooden club, just simple weapons. Mm-hmm. And they also bask on the killing and torture, which is something when you want to make them really fearful and a frightening foe, you want to have them bask in that torture, have them cackling over the corpses of their foes. Mm-hmm. Because sometimes just having the players walk into a subterranean area and then you just see the bodies is the first thing you see. Yep. They'll be like, oh no, something really bad is here. And then they see a kobold and they start laughing. And then next thing you know, similar to Monty Python and the Holy Grail's rabbit.
Yes.
They start running in terror and wetting themselves. So, with this, there's just so much. I mean, you could take it a couple routes. You could always more stats, bigger weapons, like the big mighty. There's like the big bad chieftain kobold who's actually built more like an orc, but he is the giant kobold of doom, and that's the one who's super intelligent and leading them all. And he set up this intricate work of traps and plans and strategies, and he's like the head general that organized all these feeble creatures, and we're trying to bring them to something great. Also, with the kobolds, who says that their weapons just have to be the basic weapons? Maybe they've killed enough people. Their weapons are actually magical. Mm-hmm. Why not? Why not give them like a magic sword or spear, and not just a simple +1? Something that has like a bad side effect, one that maybe breaks you out into a rash, so you're itching a lot, so therefore you can't fight quite as well to weaken you up for the next attack of some that'll like tie you down even more. So then they can actually just torture you and lop off your head at their own convenience, as opposed to having it on being on like a time frame. Perhaps they even have prisoners that they just been torturing over time. I mean, there's just a lot that can be done when you want to make these vicious. They need to be sadistic. If you want to scare your party, they need to be anything you can think of from a nightmare. They need to bring it and then some.
And reading through the description of the kobold, I think one thing that we forget about them is in the description, it is probable 65% of the time that they will have 2 to 5 wild boars or 1 to 4 giant weasels in their lair that serve as guards. Now,
true.
Reading through the descriptions of the wild boar and the weasel, yeah, that'll make you a little bit scared of them now, because the wild boar is a 3+ hit dice creature, and each attack it does is 3 to 12 damage. And here's what's nasty about the wild boar: they will fight for 2 to 5 melee rounds after reaching 0 to -6 hit points, but dies immediately at So they will go to negative hit points and still attack you for the wild boar.
And imagine you're a party of level 1s running after and finding that there.
Yeah, you got like 3 of these wild boars, and they're bearing down on you, they're being like herded towards you by the kobolds. And on top of that, there might be giant weasels as well.
Right. And maybe
the giant weasels, they're 3+ hit dice creatures. Right. And they attack by draining blood from you, 2 to 12 hit points around once they hit.
I'm now envisioning on the players just walking in on like some poor soul that's just having the weasels feast upon their blood.
Mm-hmm.
Like from the previous party that tried to deal with these kobolds. And that's the first sight you see. And then the weasels attack, but not to try to keep you out, but to force you into a certain direction, to push you down into a trap where the rest of the weasel lair is.
Right. I could almost envision like even the regular kobolds, just playing them smart. Not just for them to protect your lair, but maybe use them for an attack. Maybe part of their, I guess maybe part of their defensive posture is they incorporate either the wild boars and or weasels into their defensive structure by, sending them out and weakening the party. Or maybe that's the way they finally take down the party at the very end. They send in with the wild boars and weasels against you.
Right. Instead of unleash the hounds, it's unleash the boars.
Unleash the boars, unleash the weasels. Right. So, yeah, I mean, even in the regular description, there's so many different ways that we forget, it's like, they're just kobolds. You can make them even nasty just by, by reading through what they have available to them, But to kind of build upon this, like we were talking about the regular kobold, but I got to have an example of a kobold that has been tweaked, I would say, almost to the max. And this is something my friend Jeff and I worked on for our Netherdeep campaign, and it's called the Deep Kobold.
Oh.
Yes. They are also known as Shadow Fiendlings, King Kobolds, the Greater Kobold, or the Black Kobold. Or the Dark Kobold. They go by different names, but they look like they're cousins, the regular kobolds, but their eyes are a luminescent pale violet, and their horns are like a glossy black. They have a thicker hide, and it varies from like a maroon to a dark purple, or to a bright purple. They have splayed hands, almost like a subterranean lizard, and that allows them to move on all fours or on any solid surface. They are about a foot taller than their smaller cousins, and they relish in their superiority to them. Now, here's where this all kind of plays in. They like to hide along the ceilings and the walls of a passage because they could basically climb like a spider. They got a 65% chance hide in shadows and move silently, 50% as a thief. And once per day, they can blend their body temperature, make them invisible to infravision, to their background surroundings. They employ blowguns. That employs it's a poison that is like a strong intoxicant. That would be equivalent to like drinking about like 10 shots of whiskey. And there's some other things they have encountered outside their lair. Every 5 deep kobolds, there'll be a fighter of 3rd level.
Oh, geez.
I got a whole write-up on these guys. They're very nasty.
Can you make that into a document so we can post that
Absolutely.
Up? All right. Perfect.
Yeah, we could put that. I got the document right here. But basically, they're like 3 hit dice creatures, and they're nasty.
How can we incorporate that into the notes, Matt?
With that, you could probably throw it up as an attachment that they can download, or I can just take the text and put it in the notes.
It's probably too long to just put in the notes.
So yeah, I can just make it a PDF attachment that they can download.
Yeah,
That's
it's just a little Word document.
Okay, yeah, I can just make it a Word document download, not a problem.
Yeah, it's like maybe a little over a page.
All right, yeah, so go to the website for the show for the download. Matt will have it in there as an attachment on our website you can download and enjoy. Cool.
Oh, yeah. You could really tweak this guy out for D&D and have yeah, he's a nasty little guy. This is like their bigger brother.
So that's a great idea. All right, cool. Let's head into our last segment of the night, the treasure chest.
Are you enjoying the show you're listening to right now? Want to help support the show? Why not head over to the Patreon site, patreon.com/WGP. That's patreon.com/WGP. And help support the network for as little as $1.50 a month. That's right, $1.50 a month goes a long way. Thank you. You have opened the treasure chest. You may choose an item.
For the treasure chest tonight, I'm going to talk about a custom weapon that I made up for one of my campaigns here. I used it a little while back. I don't remember where I found it. It was based off of some cold blades, I think it was called, or black blades, or black ice blades. But mine are called crystal mountain blades. They're two short swords together, so you have to use them in unison. They give you, each blade is +2 to hit. And while you're holding these two blades, you get a +2 to save versus cold while you hold them. The blades themselves look to be made of a crystal-like substance. The handles are wrapped in black leather, and from a DM point of view, they're almost unbreakable. So if you're in your campaign using these and you come up to that roll of 1 or something that's going to break a blade, it's not going to break. I'm going to say for a DM point of view, there's only a 10% chance this blade's going to break. If it does break, it shatters instantly into like a million pieces. There's no way of recovering this once this shatters. Once this does shatter, the character is instantly going to feel this sorrow, this void in their heart, this cold, icy pain that's going to last a week inside game. Now, a little bit of background about this weapon. I didn't go too much detail, except it's a very rare weapon. It's said to be forged in the high mountains of Greyhawk in the Crystal Mist Mountains. So, there you can take that background and goose it up however you want. Use it in your campaign however you want. Nick, you have any comments about this weapon? Or
I just love that it's tied to the World of Greyhawk fantasy campaign. It's so cool that way.
Well, yeah, that's what that's our default world. That's what we're all about. So,
yeah, I also enjoy the lasting effect of once it breaks, that melancholy and sadness, because too often when a magic item breaks, it's just like, oh, we need to go find a new one. No,
everybody's like, meh.
Especially if you can somehow hint in the background that if this breaks, terrible things will fall upon you. So at that point, maybe they get a little more iffy about using it and saving it only for in those great times of need because they don't want to risk it breaking. Have that with great power also comes with that great risk. I enjoy that.
Responsibility.
Well, with this, it's risk.
Okay.
Because good can happen. Or that terrible things. It's kind of like the deck of many things, but not as insane.
Yeah.
It could be good. It could be bad. I enjoy that. And because I think that gives players an interesting choice of when to use this. So it's like, we know we have it. We know we can get out of this situation, but is it worth the risk? Is there another way? It makes them think.
And since it's a rare item, I don't think... I mean, again, it's your campaign, so you do what you want. If you want all your players to run around with these blades, that's fine with me, but I would say that if one player gets these things, it'd be like, whoa, like a lucky thing in the campaign. This could even be a questing item if you want.
Now, did you say that also that when you hit with these, the one who gets attacked gets cold damage too?
No. You only get a +2 to hit, and while you're holding it, you get a +2 to save versus cold.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. That's pretty cool. I like that.
So it's kind of a rare item, and it's you can do whatever you want with it from there. But I'm going to put the notes in the chat here for you, Matt, so you can attach it.
Yes.
I got one more thing to add to there. Right. The value, the XP value, 5,000. The value of the weapon has been estimated at 10,000 gold pieces.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a rare item. It's only been shown up maybe a couple times here and there in the black market, so it's up to you how you want to play this in your game. It'd be great if I can figure out how to draw them, but I don't know how to draw worth crap, so.
Yeah.
I mean,
I could also even see having needing the shards of the sword once it's been broken, have that be the quest. You need to get the shards for some other use. You may not be able to reforge the sword, but perhaps they still have magic in them that can be harnessed.
Well, I could see it being some type of component for another spell, maybe.
Right. Yeah, spell component, or perhaps you can craft some other artifact using the pieces of it. Much like if Excalibur broke into two, and you may not be able to reforge it, but you have two parts of Excalibur. You should be able to do something with that.
Sure.
Use it like chopsticks. I don't know.
Yeah. or you start using them as little shivs that aren't quite as effective.
Like a prison shiv?
Yeah, I know, really, Matt. Come on.
Yeah.
Matt's reaching on that one.
Yeah.
All right, so that's going to wrap up the show this week. Just want to drop one last note in here, email-based, because I just found something here that I wanted to bring up. Everyone know, are you guys familiar with Mavfire, the artist? He does a lot of work. He's been in a couple forums in Dragon's Foot and I think he's in Knight's Ale House, but mavfire.blogspot.com. He drew up a little picture of remember when I did the Book of Sorrows campaign online? And I had the pumpkin-headed satyrs.
Yes.
He actually drew a picture of that for me for Halloween, and he wanted me to talk about it real quick. I'm going to drop it into the chat here. Yep. It's up for you guys. You see it there?
Yes, I see it. That is awesome.
If you could just throw that into the
that's great.
Into the notes as one of the secondary pictures, Matt, and then put his information here. I'll grab it for you.
That's some really good work.
Oh, he's a great artist. I mean, you want artwork, talk to him. I mean, fair rates and everything. He's got mavfire.deviantart.com and mavfire.blogspot.com. Go ahead and check out his artwork. He does great artwork. I mean, great artwork. So don't forget, give us a ring, give us a call, 865-4210 hotline, or sorry, 570-865-4210, and rfistaff@gmail.com. Hit us up on facebook.com or on our website, rfipodcast.com, to send in your email for Sage Advice. We do have quite a bit of emails to go over. I'm going to save that for another show because there's just way too many to take up time here. I don't want to... I know people hate like just bogging down shows with emails, so we'll just do like a specific email mailbag. That way people could see that and go meh if they don't care about the mailbag and just wait for the regular show. So I know people like Eric Tankar who can't stand that. So and yes, I say it all the time because he always goes rah when he hears the email show. He listens, but he always goes ah. Now his problem with most of the shows, and I'm not talking about ours in particular or anyone in particular, is just that most people will read the email and say, today, and read it word for word for word. And it's just like, dude, paraphrase the email. Because that's what we mostly do. We just paraphrase the emails to a certain point. Not changing people's words, but that's what people... They don't want to hear word for word. So
right. Particularly on a lengthy one.
Yeah, especially, 7-paragraph long email. But
yes.
All right, so we'll be back on the show real soon. So keep it original, keep it old school, and good night, everybody.
Good night.
Bye, everybody.
The Roll for Initiative podcast is a production of Wild Games Productions in association with D20Radio.com. You can visit us at rfipodcast.com or contact us on our forums at osrgaming.org or even by calling us at 570-865-4210. This podcast is produced for entertainment purposes only. All other uses are prohibited. And remember, if your magic missile spell doesn't automatically hit, you're playing the wrong edition. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on Roll for Initiative.